Hello and welcome back to my RP-1 dev stream programs dev branch. Uh, with me happily from the start is both Maximal and Pap. So very happy to have you both along. And we try to remember what it was I was doing last night.
CMAV, when you're watching the stream, we already talked about the RP2 stuff, so just have to talk about it separately.
Oh, cool. I've got solids coming up quick, so we'll actually be able to do some kind of orbit attempt, even though it... Oh, that reminds me. We're also the other... Right. The other thing was, and I don't think we ever actually made a an issue for it, was combining these two contracts, first artificial satellite and first scientific satellite.
Combining them, maybe I missed something.
Basically where first artificial satellite has the base requirements, and then there's an optional thing, which is if you then launch to a high perigee and a high apogee, you get some extra rep. Because otherwise, it feels weird that there's these two separate contracts. And the other relevant bit there is what do we want to do about the rest of the program, which it feels weird that it continues all the way through.
Yep.
Comm satellites and stuff. But there's just not a lot of... I mean, I guess... Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking of whether it makes sense to... whether there's any way that we could make orbit closer to the actual capstone rather than the start of that program. But that's a hard problem, because if you don't make it the start, then you're eating into the suborbital programs.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And there's not a lot of wiggle room there, I think.
Yeah.
Like the other option would be just have, a one contract program, but I really don't want to do that. It doesn't feel like right at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it feels... I think what we could do, for example, is have first satellite and then solar-powered satellite and polar orbit and something modeling Sputnik 2 with send a biosample up, even though it's not recoverable or anything. I don't know. Try to actually look through the list of satellites that were launched in 57, 58, and 59. Rather than, Telstar and Transit and other stuff that wasn't until considerably later. That's an option.
Yeah, that's an option. But then what do you do with Telstar and Transit and stuff like that?
I think you basically have low Earth orbit. You have a low Earth orbit development program that has you're building ComStats and NavSats and WeatherSats, and that's where maybe the capstone to that is a geostationary launch or something. I don't know. I need to think about it a bit more, but that's like my spitball take.
Yeah, I included them with that early satellite stuff because it felt like it's the same ballpark of capability.
It's not, though. So,
within like a couple of years of additional research.
right, and the problem is the problem of a couple of years additional research is that in a couple of years you'd have lunar exploration and crewed orbit as your two programs. Or it's worse. It's worse than that if you still have X planes, because you only have one program slot, and early satellites is it.
Yeah, but you should be finishing X planes up before that.
Finish. No, other way around.
I guess I understand.
Hello?
Like you had first.
Oops, sorry, you cut out for a sec.
Sorry. Historically, I understand that the X-15 did not fly until after.
But it's not just a question of historically. Like if you look at what's required for the hypersonic flight node and its science cost, it's equivalent to going to the moon.
Is it though? It's just one node versus a bunch of nodes.
No, going to the moon is lunar range comms.
And also the bigger LC that you need and the bigger booster that you need.
No, you probably are using, like, I mean, depending. So, you certainly, the way early satellites is currently construed, the same booster that will do, like, the required so, a launch vehicle that will put a ComSat up in an equatorial orbit, let alone one in, like, with some ComSat payload, and the kick motor, is the same mass or lighter than a GCRC kick motor and a lunar payload. And I know that because I
if we're
used
only
these.
looking at lunar flyby, yes.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes.
But the lunar program is not just lunar flyby.
The lunar program is not just lunar flyby, but we're talking about the requirements for starting the lunar program are lower than the requirements for finishing the X-plane program. That's the case I'm making.
No, I'm not sure that I realize that if you're just looking at the columns, that's correct. But if you look at the amount of research you actually have to do, it's not close. I mean, the hypersonic node is what, I forget if it's 10 or 17. But for the lunar program, you've got all those material nodes, all those electronic nodes, all of the...
No, so hypersonic flight depends on sat area material science, just like your booster does. You need sat area electronics research for solar panels. Yeah.
Yeah, that depends on that material science node.
Yep. Yeah, that is the core of the split the X-planes argument.
Yeah. No, I get it. I just again, the key issue with splitting them is that you don't have.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree on the splitting thing, as we were saying before. It's more just I think the argument that I'm more strongly making is that there needs to be a way to finish early satellites, or whatever we call that, the first orbit program, such that you can use that slot for early lunar or for crewed orbit, depending on what you pick first, and then you pick the other when you finish X-planes.
Mm-hmm.
And in particular, that you have to be able to finish early lunar. Sorry, you have to finish early satellites before you're probably before you're even building your X-15, let alone before you fly it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't mind trimming off a little bit from the early satellites. We could trim the three capstones that are in there. They felt like they didn't have a good home elsewhere,
Yeah.
and in particular, a good home that is going to include enough additional stuff that it doesn't become just like a 3 month. I'm just going to launch 3 rockets to do this that I already have all the tech for, and then be done with this program.
Yeah, I think you're more likely to see that issue with whatever we turn early satellites into than with whatever um, we stick those other. Because yeah, let me look at the thing again. Um, yeah, so first solar and first polar, maybe even first sunsync. Although I'm not sure when the first sunsync mission was. Presumably it was the first keyhole mission or something. Um, like have a few contracts there, and then targeted satellites just absorbs um, ComSat and NavSat and weather and the other things. And basically, targeted satellite contracts is
Yeah, that makes sense.
the
I think that's
utilization of
cool.
space, like early space utilization.
Okay,
So
I'll make
that's
that change.
yeah, that's I think that conceptually works. And then if I think also for early satellites we can try to again go through the list of interesting early satellite missions and see if there are any other fun things we could grab.
Yeah, at least something that's a little bit more repeatable than what we've got, which is all one-offs.
I mean, I think it's fine if they're one-offs. In the vein of I'm good with killing repeatables as much as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get solids, and then fly a booster development flight. What is the reliability of the solid? Let's see. Test flight says 98%. 98%. That's artificially high because it's within the first 5 seconds thing. But cool. Okay, let's warp and get that node. $50 until that. I wonder if I could do this on avionics prototypes. Probably can't. Probably can't. Anyway, let's fly our booster development flight. Cool, R&D complex is almost done. Roll that out. Okay, no reason to remake just for avionics prototypes. Okay, let's hope it doesn't explode. Okay, let's do it. Okay. That's bad. Range safety. That was an expensive failure.
At the end, Squirrel, when we give the all clear, I would say.
Yeah, definitely towards the end. I'm gonna be
Also,
I'm gonna be busy Saturday, and that'll give you time to figure out the numbers, and then Sunday I'll do whatever needs doing on that from the code side, and whatever config work isn't done yet. If like PAP or anybody else has not gotten to it yet. All right, I'm gonna see if I can fit the solids in here. Wait a minute. I don't think I want a film camera. I think I've already gotten pretty much everything I can get out of the film camera. Oh, I guess we haven't done forest fully yet. So sure, we can. Sure, that's fine. Bet I can't afford the unlock though. No, I can't. I can't read it though. $13,000, 14,000 total. Okay, so yeah, we can't afford that yet. So cancel the edits. Okay.
oh, did you think much about that thing I proposed of having money you spent on R&D pay down a certain amount of ACM?
Yeah, in terms of the money you spend on researcher salaries, then goes into a pool, and when you purchase ECMs, it draws from the pool. basically.
Mhm. Yeah. The reason I think that might be a good idea, and I'm not 100% on this sure, is that then more of the ACM comes from an ongoing cost rather than a big lump sum cost.
Yes.
Certainly won't cover all the cases, but
Yeah, and
we could.
that avoids the either having to make a decision super early factor or the uh, paying the cost over time, but after the thing is already available problem.
Mm-hmm.
The only the only thing that I don't like about it is also sort of that first plus in that you basically you get this. So there's two things that I think I'm uncomfortable with that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
One is that it's taking expenses out of the system,
Yeah, we would
and
have to tune
we have to tune
tune
everything
against it.
again. Uh, and the other is that
We'd mostly just be tuning the program, the money.
yeah, I guess so. But we'd have to make an estimate of how much money is spent on ECMs versus everything else.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, I'm not sure. I think yeah, we'd probably do some like discount factor, like 50% of your research salaries go into the bucket instead of 100%.
Maybe it depends on how high the research salary is, but yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of low now. Um, like it's 400 funds per researcher. Okay. Um, yeah, I gotta save up
What was the
for
second
everything.
objection?
Sorry. Second objection is there's a part of me that kind of likes you making decisions ahead of time because like it's all about planning. So the fact that you like there is something weird of put it. Let me put this a different way. Um, it feels to me like you get the exact same output by just having ECMs. Not quite because uh, then you can just buy all the parts, whereas it's an exhaustible pool if you do the thing you're proposing. But it feels a little bit just like we're giving you a discount at the time of purchase rather than like you actually deciding that you're similar to reality where like they started working on the F1 in 1958. But flips the back on the first hand again, then yeah, it does lock people in if we do that. So yeah, I
Well,
think the thing you proposed is better than what we have. Um,
yeah, I mean, like in some world where you reprogrammed it so that the researchers were researching ECMs rather than tech nodes, I would maybe prefer that system versus the compromise. But yeah, I think versus a compromise solution is what I was looking at,
yeah.
and this one seemed particularly easy to code and
Yep. Yeah, it
to do
certainly
the
is.
UX for.
Hmm. Yep, that's fair. Uh, okay, I think I don't. So we can now hire more researchers, but I need to build up the money to unlock. So
I think I'm really out of topic, so I'll let you be a little bit more productive with your actual
no worries.
thing.
I'm hearing a bunch of like clicking or silverware or something in the background.
Oh, sorry. I was yeah. Sorry. It stopped. I'll stop.
Ah, okay. Yeah, no, I think phone Discord is less good at noise canceling than with a headset mic.
Yes. Sorry about that.
All good. Oh, I need to fix that.
I mean, for what it's worth, I also hear your keyboard noises, so your
Oh,
stream
that's
audio quality is not 95,
yes,
95th percentile.
yes. If I know I'm going to be typing something for a long time, then I'll self mute. But in that case, it was jotting the note. And given that I just said I had to make myself a note, it felt like I wasn't doing too badly. But I don't know. It's weird because it's not a mechanical keyboard. It's just the Microsoft Natural Keyboard, which is chiclet style, so you wouldn't think it would be that noisy. But
maybe it's your typing style. I remember having a producer that we would work with who had she had an extremely aggressive typing style. So, and you could almost hear her mood coming out of her just based off the keyboard noises.
Yeah.
The producer I really liked, by the way. Like, she was really one of my favorites, but it was kind of funny. We would tease her about her typing.
Yeah, I probably am guilty of that. Okay, so we're going to get 8K this month, which means if I spend 3K, we'll still have enough for the solids. But when will we get? That's not until August 56, and so a year from now. So yeah, I can hire researchers before I have to worry about tooling avionics. For sure. That saved 10 days. All right. Roll out the next one. Let's try this again. Great. This thing is way more failure prone than I would have expected for how reliable it's supposed to be.
Confirmation bias.
I mean, just the numbers alone.
Yeah, but you always remember that one time that it seemed like it was excessively
Well,
failure prone.
I mean, it failed last flight too, remember? So
yeah,
I'm currently 0 for 2. For something that's supposed to be like 90% reliable. That seems high. But yes, I agree that it is basically confirmation bias, at least so far. All right, at least we're going to get into space, maybe.
It's choppy for me as well, but I don't 100% know if that's just mobile or not. So you're saying it's also choppy for you.
Yeah, it's the Comcast is doing Comcast things apparently because I've got 30% dropped frames. If last time is anything to go by, my rebooting the router will not actually help.
You're also starting to have a little bit of voice issue, but we'll just suffer through.
Yeah, I'm sorry, folks. I got nothing. There is basically nothing I can do about it.
Also, hey, no, Mr. Bond, how's it going?
All right, at least we'll get science from this one.
Not sure Nathan wants to pay 120 bucks a month just to be have the appropriate internet for streaming KSP.
Is it actually good for uplink as well as downlink? Because I know a long time the problem with satellite was that you had great download but crappy upload, and upload is what matters. Also, Squirrel, I've looked. The only high speed, like I could get DSL, but that's even worse. I don't have other options in this apartment.
This thing I'm reading is claiming Starlink has 22 megabits per second upload.
Interesting.
But like your mileage may vary. It's also saying that Starlink is getting slower as more people are using it.
Yeah, that sounds expected. Yeah, it's a wiring problem, not an exclusivity thing. I wish I could get fiber. That would be so nice.
Have you looked to see if you have access to 5G home or something like that?
I thought that latency was a problem there, but
Maybe. Are you in the UK now, Mr. Bond?
I think either New Zealand or Australia. I forget which one, but definitely one of the two. I think, or somewhere else in Oceania.
There's a games company that I was looking at that wanted to hire me to move out to New Zealand. I didn't go very far with them, but thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's a great place. Okay, there's some science, not a ton, but some. And we also transmitted some of the mass spectrometry science. Okay, what were to happen if I put the solids on this? Ugh. They're auto-shaped. Yeah, this is not going to work great. Yeah, for sure. Alright, I guess I can cheese it a bit. Oh, can't afford to duplicate it. Okay. Let's roll it out. Okay, looks like the bad internet has finally ended. Apologies to everyone for the choppiness. Here we go. Okay, let's get alignment again. Okay, our first actually complete burn. Okay. Decent, decent. Cool, we're staying above the shores. Up to almost 900 kilometers. Now we're above the forest, but that's okay too. Let's hope we're light enough that because I didn't make the parachute any better. That was a close run thing. Almost popped from temperature. Yeah, so despite going up fairly vertically, we're actually well into the U.S. mainland. Okay, we're fine. 6 meters per second is totally safe. Sweet. Alrighty. That's a good bit of science. Okay. So it is currently 10 May 55. Okay. So we're gonna launch here. So we can do orbit as soon as possible, I guess. Although, yeah, the rewards are low, so who knows. Anyway, I think that will do me for tonight. So thank you folks for being here. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time. Night.
Good night.